and then have Chris do it.
Yeah, you can just open up both meetings, yeah, you can open up the meeting.
You can't get the
I
stuff
can open up both meetings at
down.
once.
Well, you can open up your IDA meeting and have that, start that, and have Short Henry, then recess that, and then open up CDC. Then you can take action on it and close it all together when you go back.
Someone's got to turn their
Okay,
speakers
we
off.
are live streaming.
Ryan?
Are you still on the board? Last I knew.
All right, let's call the IDA meeting to order. Ally, would you please take attendance?
Tim Robinson.
Yes.
Ryan Campbell.
Here.
Juan Gonzalez.
Present.
Dan Bruno.
Here.
Mary King. Here. Nick Caimano.
Yo, here.
Dave O'Brien.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum.
Mike Wild's in here too.
Mike, you're not here in person.
Oh, okay. Might be in person.
Yes, this, for you to count for quorum and for voting, you need to be in person.
Okay, how about that?
And for the record, Craig Leggett just showed up.
Okay, thanks. So we're going to move up in the agenda world. We have Fort William Henry here. Fort William Henry has an exciting extension to their current project going on. So for the record, anyone who is on YouTube has to be visual. On Zoom has to be visual, so you have to turn your cameras on, please. One of our new rules from the
I just
state.
go to the IDA link to log in, is that right?
You have the, someone else have the,
Well, I'm online, but I'm trying to get.
okay. Okay, so
You've got the information.
Fort William Henry's got an exciting extension to their project going on, expanded the project. I'll let them explain what's going on. With here, we have Sam Luciano, who is the president of Fort William Henry Corporation, and Bob Hafner, who is their attorney. So unfortunately, Kathy Munsell, who is the whirlwind of activity over there, is in Ireland for a wedding, so she's got her A-team with us. So Sam, if you'd like to describe the project and what changed since the last time. I mean, the original project we started off with had the kitchen, white line kitchen, and potentially a three-season expansion porch. So if you explain to us what's happened and what the changes are and where you're going from here.
Sure. Thank you, Dave. So last year we met and we were presenting to you that we were expanding our White Lion room by adding a three-season porch. And the purpose of that was to allow us to open up a dinner operation for our guests. And that's where a lot of the job creation was coming in. And as we went through 2022, when we completed much of our capital, we ran into a number of headwinds. One was being supply lines. So as our White Lion expansion of the three-season porch was scheduled to open on April 4th, supply lines hindered that to the point where we pushed up against our wedding season and we could not complete the work and open for the weddings that were under contract. At that same time, what was happening to us is the inquiries that were coming in through a variety of marketing vehicles, Wedding Wire, et cetera, were suggesting that our White Lion room was smaller for the capacity of the weddings that were facing us. The White Lion capacity is 150 people tops for the number of occupants in that room for a wedding. The weddings that we were getting inquiries on were 225, 175, 250, even up into the 300s. We saw a lot more of the Asian market, if you will, the Indian weddings coming through, a lot more downstate, a lot more of the Capital District area. So at that point, we said, let's just rethink this. The carriage house is an old carriage house that was here in the 1800s. And we always had that on our radar to make that our banquet hall. That was going to be 3 or 4 years out. And we said, if we reverse those two capital ideas and put the 3-season porch out 3-4 years, we'd be able to accommodate the larger weddings and still have our restaurant open for dinner and to serve our guests. And so that we walked down that road and we started pursuing the cost and what it would entail. And that's the plans we put in front of you. If I can share a screen, I'd like to show you the renderings of that building, if that's okay with you, David.
That's fine, thank you.
If I know how to do this, I should say. I'm not that familiar with Zoom. Can you see that? Can you see that?
Oh.
Is that on the screen now? Okay. So this is the front of the carriage house. Sorry, let me get acclimate here. This is the front of the carriage house where the porch is facing out toward the lake. If you'll see in the top left is the 64 unit or our standard motel section building. This is looking at the side of the carriage house looking out toward the lake. They'll be looking over Beach Road. Notice the patio and the fire pit on the side. This is another look at the same patio area, looking up toward the current standard motel room. This allows us an extra function space out here as well for private dinners, family functions, etc. This is now a look inside. You can see we kept the roof. We kept the structure, the look of the old barn in there. We've added a second floor mezzanine, 2 stairways, and improved the space. We also put in this inside fireplace, and this is back to back with the outside fireplace. And then we've added the bar area and new bathrooms, etc. So this floor plan allows us to fit 300 plus people for dinners. And now we'll have our place where we can hold the big weddings, still allow our kitchen that we put in place last year that was $757,000. We expanded our kitchen. Now we can do dinners. We actually have 3 locations to do weddings now. We have the carriage house, we have the conference center that we renovated last year, and we have the White Lion still. So that's the scope, that's the change and why the change occurred from last year's plan. So I guess I'll stop there and entertain any questions you might have on the reason.
Any questions for Sam? Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, so are you saying that with the 3 different size venues, now you can do all 3 simultaneously? Or can you staff that even under these situations today?
Yeah, that's the biggest question, Brian. Do we have staffing that'd be able to accommodate that? The bigger thing that's come into play is some of the area events, Christian Dutch or Americade, the car show, the music festival. The events are getting excited to have this new space to hold things on property that they moved off currently, or new utilization of this space. So it goes much more beyond weddings and banquets. It's going to be kind of a full service facility to be able to handle much larger meetings and events.
So in terms of the economics, would you please run through the economics of the expansion with the carriage house, please?
Yeah, so last year's plan still is in place. We brought to you that with the addition of the restaurant now being open, we could bring 16 to 30 new positions into our fold, into our personnel staffing. That still remains valid, except now we have double the banquet capacity. So that number gets enhanced a little bit by the additional servers and cooks and things we're going to need for the additional space for weddings. So none of our planning for last year, none of what we presented went away. It actually got enhanced with this new plan.
So I think the economics of the of the addition is for the carriage house is right around 4 million, maybe 4,150,000 if my memory serves me correctly.
That's correct. Yeah, just over 4 million.
Chuck and I were lucky enough to go see the tour on Thursday night. We went out and saw the tour. Kathy took us through and showed us the explanation. It's really impressive, but she also did a quick look at the kitchen they expanded and also some of the rooms they've rehabbed. So it's really impressive and things they've done to upgrade up there. I think that everyone's been, from Kathy and Sam can verify this, is they've been extremely pleased with the return on investment they've gotten. They've gotten a lot better quality stays. And I think they found per room charge was improving over the course of the time because of the upgrades that they've made. And I know, and when you look at places, you need to keep on improving in order to stay competitive. There's a lot of competition out there today. Did I misstate any of that, Sam?
No, you didn't. Thank you. The capital that we did in the guest rooms was well received. We do have more of that work scheduled this year as we continue on with the 5-year capital plan for this property.
Okay. Any other questions? So right now we sent our resolution out. They have a very aggressive schedule in order to meet their construction date and completion date so they can start taking events. They're going to start construction, I believe it's November 7th is when the target is.
That's correct.
They're currently waiting for is it National Grid or Niagara Mohawk?
One of the same, National Grid coming in.
National Grid to move some of their poles. And because their poles feed some of the rental units down below in terms of spaces on the main drag there, they have to make sure that they wait till that date before they cut over the power. So we'll see. But so we're here tonight to authorize the resolution moving forward. And also to allow me to set the public hearing when we can. I believe based on targets that we are going to try and look at that November 1st so we can meet their deadline date, make sure we're cooperating with them to look at that. So Kara, did you have anything to fill in on that?
No, by general municipal law requires you to have a public hearing if benefits are over $100,000. So, there is some question back and forth as to whether, since this is an existing project, whether or not the public hearing is necessary. We discussed it because it's a new amended project as opposed to not an increase from the prior project submitted, that we would accept the changes to the project and then also schedule a public hearing. So that's why to follow that process. Was the resolution circulated?
Yes, it was sent out to everyone.
So we have to do another public hearing. So-
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do it in terms of safety anyways.
yeah.
If it wasn't-
Yeah,
You want to do that as 2 resolutions? You're okay, and this? or-
the draft resolution includes both approvals in the same resolution.
Okay. So if it's someone like to make a motion?
Yeah, sure.
Motion by Nick. Do I have a second? Second by Brian. Any further discussion? All in favor?
That's gonna be a roll call, isn't it?
Roll call. Okay, got it.
Me too.
Okay, good enough. Okay,
Good thing there's a lot of people here.
Craig Leggett.
Yes.
Kim Robinson abstains. Brian Campbell,
Yes.
Jenny Sullivan abstains. Juan Gonzalez,
Yes.
Dan Bruno,
Yes.
Mary King,
Yes.
Nick Caimano,
Yes.
Dave O'Brien.
yes. Passed?
Yes. it did.
Okay, good, thank you. So, thank you, Bob and Sam, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, all of you. This will be a product you guys will be very proud of. Thank you.
Can't wait to see it.
Okay, thanks.
I'm also waiting for the next project.
Coming.
So anyhow, thank you. I am going to take a little more deviation. We have one piece of business with CDC. So I'm going to recess the IDA meeting and open up the CDC meeting so Chris Canada can do the resolution and we get rid of it. It has to do with, I'll have Chris explain it. But it has to do with, which one's this? This is Highland at the Glen and a change in their bond. So I got to recess the meeting. I will call the CDC meeting to order. Okay, roll call, please.
Craig Leggett.
Here.
Tim Robinson. Brian Campbell.
Here.
Jenny Sullivan.
Here.
Juan Gonzalez.
Present.
Dan Bruno.
Here.
Mary King.
Here.
Nick Caimano.
Yes.
Dave O'Brien.
Yes. Next orders, I need approval of the minutes of the May 16th CDC board meeting.
So
Yeah. Second.
Brian, second by Nick. Any further discussion, corrections, omissions? All in favor? Carried. Now, Chris, I'd like to introduce Chris Canada from Hodgson Russ. He's the one that's taking care of the bonds, and I think this is first of many, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, would you explain what we're doing, please?
Sure. So good afternoon, everyone. This relates to the Glen and Highland Meadows bond that we issued, you folks issued last year. I was notified probably last week, maybe a little earlier, that from bank counsel that they wanted to extend the interest only period on the bonds. Under the bond documents, that's set to expire. It was set to expire October 1st of this year, which obviously has passed. I think the main reason, like everything else, is as a result of COVID. Construction periods are taking longer. That's what we're being told, supply chain and all that good stuff. So they want to extend that period until April 1st, 2023. And to do that, we need to modify the bond documents to reflect that. We'll have some type of omnibus amendment that will change the bond purchase agreement to reflect this new period. We're pretty conservative, Joe Scott, so we would recommend that the board adopt a new resolution authorizing the board to enter into these amendments and bond modification documents rather than rely on the original approving resolution from 2021 out of an abundance of caution. The resolution goes through that. It notes that this action by the board would be a type 2 project for seeker. You always have to take care of seeker first. Since this is just a straight up ministerial modification of the documents, it's a type 2. And then the resolution authorizes the execution of the documents necessary to take care of this modification by the issuer. So happy to answer any questions on this if anybody has anything.
So I did have a question, Chris. Isn't there one we're supposed to talk, Joe talked about changing the interest process from LIBOR to?
Yeah, exactly. So that, you're right, Chair. That's the Adirondack Housing Bond. In that one, it's not a change of the interest only period. It's a change from the index rate on the bond from the interest rate from LIBOR to what we call SOFR, which is standard overnight finance rate. So not to bore anyone with all this bond talk, but for years, bonds that were variable rate relied on a interest rate index called LIBOR, the London Interbank Offering Rate. And as a result of a lot of different things, LIBOR is going away next year. So any bonds for our different issuers that are in LIBOR, we're getting called upon to change the rate from LIBOR to SOFR because SOFR has kind of become the industry standard. I think, Dave, we're waiting for a little more feedback to move that forward.
Okay.
When we get that, I would come back to this board with a similar resolution like you have before you, but in that case, it would be specific to changing the interest rate index. What I will say, going back to Glen and Highland, the bond documents already, because that was in 2021, already kind of looked down the road and saw this change from LIBOR to SOFR. So that those mechanics are already baked into that document. So we don't have to worry about that for Glen and Highland.
I want to see money come back again if they had to.
But yeah. Yeah.
So anyhow, thank you for that explanation.
Yes, sir.
Ryan?
Yeah, Kara, does this meet everything that we needed to do for us?
This is a project that bond council has handled, so I would defer to them. They
I
are,
mean, we're under our parameters to approve it just the way it is without making them go through any other hoops, I guess that's.
right, it's just a modification to their financing documents, so it's not, they're not changing their project or anything of that nature. It's just strictly a financing component on their end.
Okay.
I spoke with Chris last week, so we're on the same page.
Is this all being done after the fact?
after the fact.
There was a date that was missed.
October 1st.
Did you catch that question, Chris?
Yeah, I did. And in talking with Jim Carminucci, Bank Counsel, we will document that the bank, that period was missed and that provision will be waived in the documentation. So I'm not worried about that from a legal perspective.
Are we?
I don't think you should be. But
Are we?
I don't know what the issue was with October 1st. I don't handle this. This is
no, so October 1st was the end of the interest only period on the bond, but the bank and the borrower agreed, hey, interest only can extend a little bit longer and we'll document that. So there's no liability on the issuer's perspective on this.
Okay.
Good question.
Any other questions? I will need a motion to approve the resolution. Moved by Brian, do I have a second? Second by Mary. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Craig Leggett,
Yes.
Tim Robinson,
Yes.
Brian Campbell,
Yes.
Ginny Sullivan,
yes.
Juan Gonzalez,
Yes.
Dan Bruno,
Yes.
Mary Kane,
Yes.
Nick Caimano,
Yes.
Dave O'Brien.
Yes. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks very much, everyone. Have a good night.
Have a good day. Any other business come before the CDC?
Move to adjourn.
And I'll adjourn the CDC meeting and reopen the IDA meeting. Sorry. So next order of business, did we approve the minutes?
Yes.
Financials, accounts payable approval. There's the financials sent out to you. Any questions on the financials or on, not the financials, on accounts payable? Sorry.
I'm so sorry. The minutes for the CDC were approved, not the IDA. I apologize.
I need a motion to approve the minutes of the September 19th, 2022 IDA board meeting.
Move.
Moved by Nick. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Juan. Any omissions or corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. I threw you curves, so you're awesome. Accounts payable approval. Accounts payable are sent out for your review. Any comments or questions? Entertain a motion to approve the accounts payable.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Tim. Do I have a second? Second by Mary. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Craig Leggett,
Yes.
Tim Robinson,
Yes.
Brian Campbell,
Yes.
Ginny Sullivan,
Yes.
Juan Gonzalez,
Yes.
Dan Bruno,
Yes.
Mary Kane,
Yes.
Nick Caimano,
Yes.
Dave O'Brien.
Yes. Okay, year-to-date financial report.
Okay, so on the financials, we do have some reissued financial statements that came out today. Made a few adjustments. Starting with the balance sheet, just issued very high level. As we know, the Canal Side Industrial Energy Park was added this year for 10.5 million. And past month, we added the liability associated with the loan from Glens Falls National Bank for the payoff of taxes to the park. As we know, that loan is expected to be paid off later this quarter when we receive the next payment from CHPE. On the profit and loss statement, our operating revenue, I'm rounding to close to thousands of dollars. It's about $378,000. That's $95,000 ahead of our operating expense of $283,000. And the most significant non-operating expense of September was the back tax payment of 1.235 million, as I just talked about with the balance sheet. And that's a high-level overview of the financials. Any questions?
So these were reissued today? I didn't get them.
They were reissued today.
Because that was one of my points, is you're missing the debt.
Right, and so what we did is the loan was classified, hit the P&L, we took off the P&L, we have it on the balance sheet as a loan.
Great, that's what I figured you would either do or have done already.
We were hoping it sort of disappeared, period.
Yeah, well, Thanks
Whatever.
for everything. With interest.
Any other questions on the financials?
Thank you. I know.
Okay, thank you all. Pardon?
Those were sent out.
Yeah,
Today,
there, this afternoon, we figured out what we had to do.
We can't get those any sooner. I mean, there were a number of things today that came out, day of the meeting, came out at 11 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon.
Mhm.
That's not manageable for me.
Well,
One thing we're gonna do with the financials, we talked about in the office today, is we're gonna review the financials on day 5 after we close the month. So we have plenty of lead time in case there are adjustments, so that will.
you are correct. We should get them out earlier. Just last week was a crush week for a lot of people, and some of these things like Fort William Henry never came up till Wednesday in their schedule, so.
Yeah.
We were doing some rushes on that,
I
so.
understand, but it is difficult for us that have a lot of other things going on. And I sit down maybe an hour before this meeting and I see all these things. And you know, I like to review them beforehand. So anyway, that's.
Point taken.
we can just make better decisions if we have stuff to, a little time to think about it and where it went. I understand it.
One day they will come and hit us with a baseball bat,
If we're lucky.
if we're lucky.
Make it soon.
All right. Anything else on the financials? Moving on, wetland delineation update. Wetland delineation. I want to remind everyone that these microphones pick everything up.
Yeah.
And it's all being recorded, so just keep that in mind when you're saying things. Wetland delineation update. I thought everything going smoothly. I found out today that the 2 items of interest, we have activity with the wetlands. One was the ADJ or AJD for Hilltop, got put on the tack pile and didn't get fixed, didn't get done. So there's an issue with that. The other part of our wetlands has been done. We understand that the person who is in charge of those is about to retire. So I don't know what we're gonna do. I've given the supervisor's name to figure these out. These were supposed to be done months ago, as we promised, so no wonder he's been ignoring us for so long. But we'd have to get active on that. Fortunately, Hilltop can continue with their construction plans. They're just gonna miss part of their parking lot to come, which really isn't a wetlands. It was the fact that Queensberry didn't finish the culvert job they were supposed to do, so when it hit it, it just backed up in their field. So we are working. So that's about all I have for the wetland delineations. Okay. Next,
So the new leaf solar.
what
Or
about
you
lot?
wanna do
lot merge?
We really don't have any major update on lot merging.
No, the only thing I did talk to the assessor over in Kingsbury, and she said the best thing to do is just merge the lots. We'll do that.
Okay, so going to the new leaf solar, again, we received some new information today. New Leaf sent us the draft option of lease agreement, which we are not looking to approve tonight. As far as an update or where they are with the application, they have submitted the application to National Grid for the hookup. They are working on the wetlands delineation and report is expected back in the next 10 days. And they've ordered the title report. They are about to trigger some engineering work and coordinate some site visits as needed. As far as the resolution you have in front of you, there are a couple elements. One is that the lease for the property, letter of intent lease, is not less than fair market value. Secondly, we are.
So can I interject there?
Sure, please.
They don't care whether it's above or below that, they just want to see the number. So we could go lower than that if the board decided to do. Fortunately, we're going above that. So just one clarification. That's one of the most frustrating things you have to wait 90 days for, is to submit something that you don't have to follow anyways. I think I said that correctly.
If it's lower than fair market value, you need to make a finding as to why that's in the economic best interest of the community. But since it's over the fair market value, it's not necessary to make that finding.
So we'll also, with the resolution for tonight, be resolution to pursue the Public Authority Accountability Act and notify the various state agencies. And then we do the resolution to execute and deliver a lease agreement subject to approval of the agency legal counsel. And this lease agreement will follow the LOI that's already been approved by the board. Any
Okay.
questions on the new leaf update?
Someone say so moved?
No, no. I'm just trying to find that document.
Yeah.
What are we looking at? A lease?
This is at the Airport Industrial Park, and this is for 18 acres to be leased for $1,800 per acre. Total annual of $32,400, which is above the market rate. There is a 1% annual increase.
You know, I've been just having such a hard time this past year finding all the documentation for these moves. I don't have it on me. I had some for the others, but not that. Is there any printed out? Is there any, I search Ally Weaver, I do Ally White, I do David Bryan, and all your 60 minutes. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Does anyone else have a problem?
I don't have a copy of it that I can find either.
I don't have it, but it's my fault. I didn't know I was going to be here in person. I'd go down to the office and got them.
Does it, do you have a date when it was sent?
Really? You got that?
I didn't get one.
Were these by chance attached to the invite because I thought I was personally going to be in good shape because there were documents attached to the invite.
I think that's what happens once you
And now I
accept it.
can't open those documents.
Oh, I know what happened.
So I've had issues.
So when you reply,
Yeah.
it goes down, you can go back in and open it back up again, probably.
And on my desktop, I can do that.
That's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
So let me explore with the website, if there's a place that we can put all the documents. So that if you don't get them, you go back and look at them. You're exactly right. I keep on forgetting every time you accept an invitation. And I don't know if he shoves everything in the calendar and deletes that email. So that's what's happened.
That's why you just show up. That way you can keep looking and stuff. I must reply.
Yeah.
What's on my calendar?
Everything's gone.
Delete, you have to go to your deleted email. and put it
I don't
back.
know where this was written. I got it. I have it in my email. I can send it.
It shouldn't be.
Oh,
I know.
it didn't show up in that.
Well, the resolutions were just sent today.
Send response.
Are you looking for the letter of intent that goes with it?
I got the. Is that was about 20 pages long?
Mhm.
Yeah, 18, whatever, it's long.
Right.
And I got it just as well.
There's,
That's.
we're not, I didn't finish with Champlain. That's what I said.
I can send all the things. I don't know who wants it.
You sent this or did Alex send it?
Alice sent it out.
At least I know.
Well, it's attached to the email Dave sent on 11/21 that has subject of Granite Island. It's the second attachment to that one.
Do you have any formatting? Do you have any formatting? This, the new leaf, the start, the resolution, and then
New resolution.
the.
I think we could wait on that one. If you prefer, we'd wait on that one. Mhm.
What time? Was that starting?
11:21.
So Dave, just to confirm, Mr. Chairman, that we will review the lease we just received, and then we can send out the lease the lease with the LOI as backup, and then perhaps a map too. I believe there is a map,
Oh, that'd be nice.
there is a map in the draft.
Right.
Okay.
So we can tee it up for the next board meeting.
Well, we'll be having a special meeting for the approval of William Henry. Do it around November 1st, so we'll do it then. No big deal. Sorry, let's explore to see if we get a place where you can put all these documents online and then we don't have to worry about losing them.
These aren't shown at all.
Which email do you use?
I use Supervisor Town Chester.
Maybe that was my mistake. I maybe sent it to someone else. Your other alter ego.
There's also another one with Gmail, but those both get picked up.
Okay, we'll find a way to correct this.
Thanks.
I think find a place to put them online might be the way to go.
Did the one I sent you on the ACC make it here?
That one.
Yeah, that's working.
Okay, what's next on it? New Leaf? Okay, anything else on New Leaf? Come up next meeting. Master Canal Site Energy Park. Master plan update. Up to you, Dan.
Master plan is the work that all DA is doing.
Mhm.
Yeah. We have a meeting next Monday, 2:30. With the ballot, and they sent out a I don't know if everybody got this, but there's a tentative work plan schedule for the Canal Site Energy Park utility development. And it covers the proposed items they will do in the cost. We have a meeting next Monday to review this with the ballot. It's the water service, sanitary sewer service, storm sewer separation, NEPA review, and preliminary electric and gas coordination. Those items are all in there. There's a grant, that's $600,000 to cover that.
Yes, that's the NBRC grant.
Right. So we have that to accomplish all this work, if that's what it costs. I'm a little skeptical on some of these, but we'll go over that next week. So I think the master plan, moment, I think that's all I have. Chuck or David.
The only thing I'll add is that on the 14th of October, Dave and I had a teleconference with National Grid, including a gas expert. And there are nearby gas sources, but there are some different configurations that need to be taken under consideration. And this will be reported out in the meeting next Monday, as you referred to.
That was the last minute thing.
Chuck, what kind of availability did they say they had?
Develop. They have not indicated any problems with their availability. The Gantt chart that Dan was just referring to showed that their work would go all the way out until June, July, and September of 23. So they have planned the resources necessary to hit water, sewer, and stormwater associated with sewer. So that's the timeline they're coming up with at this time. So we so far seem to be okay.
So part of what we were sort of unsure of how we're going to handle the electricity and the gas. And so we just wanted to understand where where they were. There were like 5 locations. The easiest location to come from with gas is right across the railroad tracks. However, the issue is not getting engineering done. The issue is going to getting the railroad to allow us to go underneath to get to the site. So we're trying to figure out how to handle that, and that's part of the discussion with the next Monday, is what's the best way to handle that. Yes, Brian.
Can we do lateral drilling?
We can do that, but we need the right of way to go under their
We
railroad
need
track.
permission either way.
It could
And
take
how
up to
about-
2 to
I
3
know
years to
there's-
get that
there's
permission.
Hookups for gas, but is there gas available to hook, to get if you got hooked? I guess that's the
That was a
bigger.
very question that our chairman asked, and they said at this time there is, but who knows what the future holds, but at least there's a line there with adequate pressure. But
New
there
York
is,
State
that's a macro
development.
issue that was acknowledged.
We just got to come with green natural gas. That's all we need.
You got it.
Yes.
So,
Hold it. I'll hold that thought.
actually, Ken Ray is now carrying green gas, green propane. I don't know what the difference is, but he did. He had a big grand opening for it up in Hampton, which I was at. And it's really amazing that there are special vehicles that are designed to use that green gas.
It probably just gets a better price.
Okay.
Anyway, that's it for the outside energy park master plan
Okay.
update.
So
The, HPE laid on this, I'm not sure where that's standing.
CHP laid on me.
Yeah.
I sent that out on Friday or Saturday when I got it finished.
Yeah.
Where that is that they're gonna pay us an option agreement of 3 months for $3,000, another option agreement if they don't occupy the property for another 3 months. And then it will be a 3-year lease, and that's for $3,000 for each 3-month period. The lease is no change from what we talked to before, what the board authorized to go for lease. It will be $12,800. $12,800 a month for 3 years. And they'll be responsible for all utilities and maintenance of the area. So along with that, their final environmental protection and public need was approved by the PSC for phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 and phase 2 are from Putnam down to Bellamy Street and Whitehall. They expect that to start sometime in, they're talking November, December, but probably in January, February. The timeframe's been off. I don't know if I told people that, maybe I did, is that they also talked about the December, first year operation be slipping for 2 months based on all the approvals they needed. So that's now delayed until January, February of 2026. So that lay down the yard, they're anxious to get at least signed and move forward. So part of the resolution that we have is to authorize me to sign that lease.
So I just have a question there, Chairman.
Yes.
Chairman, we have, you said 3,000 a month, 3,000 for the entire 3 months.
Right.
The way it is.
3,000 for 3 months.
Okay, okay, thank you.
And then the next renewal is 3,000 for 3 months.
That's very much. Thank you.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
I'm trying to remember, no, they had it wrong in their lease agreement, which is, took me a while to get it straightened out.
Mr. Chairman, did I read it right? They're responsible for taxes and things like that?
Yes.
And utilities, and what taxes and utilities would they be incurring?
Well, it's gonna be hard because they're using 8 acres out of 80. The only taxes is we are responsible for special district taxes.
Okay.
So that would be water, they're responsible for, fire district also.
Okay.
So let's come up with a way to prorate that 8 months but we'll work on that. So I think it's $14,000 a year for fire district. So 10% of that would be probably the right amount. Council. Any other questions on the proposed lease? I'd entertain a motion. Moved by Dan, second by Brian. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Another note, for some reason, some school thought that their payments would start as soon as they started construction. That's not true. I don't know where they got it from. It's been, ever since I've talked to every single one, I went back and asked some other school districts, did I make a mistake? They said, no, you didn't. You told us first year of operation is when the first payments started streaming through, which in this case is now January 2026. So I'm not sure where they heard that. They said they heard it at some meeting. My response was to the in-between was that there was only two places that could have come from, CHPE and I, no one else.
But I think it's just because they have to pay us in order to get their.
You're right.
Yeah,
That could be it, but
somebody just mixed their metaphors. It's just a case where they have to pay us or they don't get any of their relief. And they have to do that before they start construction, so.
I did contact them and send an email out to all of them, just specified that, talked about the good news, and then specified the rest of it, so we'll see.
So, Mr. Chairman, are we still anticipating payment before the end of the year?
We should get,
The calendar.
my last knowledge is that the first payment of the admin fee of $640,000 should be in late October, mid-November. I'm still waiting confirmation from that. Within that, our $2 million payment will be paid somewhere in November, December, based on the timeframes. It slips to January. I'm fine with that, but
That would allow us enough to pay off the note.
yeah. So, any other questions, CHPE? Did I ask to? I think I need a roll call on that one.
Yeah.
Craig Waggett,
Yes.
Tim Robinson,
Yes.
Brian Campbell,
Yes.
Jenny Sullivan.
Yes.
Juan Gonzalez,
Yes.
Dan Bruno,
Yes.
Mary King,
Yes.
Nick Caimano,
Yes.
Dave O'Brien.
Yes. Okay, other potential projects.
Okay, on the rail side, we talked about a couple different projects. One that's still alive is with pulp movement into the area and log movement out with the Canadian company. That company is looking for support from the National Railroad. If it gets it, they'll be back to talk to us. There are two new projects. There's one on auto ramp movement of autos. Now that there's rail line connection down to Mexico, there's a thought process that cars will come up from Mexico via rail into our area. That is still in exploratory stage. And secondly, plywood. That's another transloading opportunity that is being explored. We're working with SGS on this and with John Davidson. So more to come, nothing else to report except that there's some activity going on.
Have you spoken to the local auto dealers and see what their feeling is?
We're letting the rail folks do that. Right.
It's best for our setup if the rail,
Say again?
it's best for us if SMS Rail handles all this.
Yeah.
We'll just get a piece of the action.
I see that, yeah.
We'll let them take care of the contracts, everything else. That gets us out of the in-between of a lot of things. They'll just
But
pay
could
us.
there be some pressure put on by, if the local dealers find it really terrific, will they put some pressure
Well,
back?
there'll have to be the economic incentive. That's what
Yeah.
the game is.
Yeah.
Try to come out of lower costs.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm not even quite sure how that works. I think there must be someone else that distributes them.
Yeah.
So they distribute them to the local dealers, so. That's a
I
good
know a couple of
question. Good
dealers want to
question.
sit there by the tracks and sell them right there.
We do that today.
Any car coming in is sold before it gets there. Car, truck, whatever.
Okay.
Okay, so that was that one. Anything else, Chuck?
That's it. Right outside.
Next, incentive projects, there's some action on CVE Solar.
So we, the IDA, have been doing some exploratory work on how to structure pilots. As I recall, we talked about the evaluation of solar projects and the new initiative with having a per megawatt charge. But we continue to do our homework on this opportunity. We have met with the town of Queensbury back on October 7th and reviewed the situation with John Stroud and staff. And then we've also sat down with the Queensbury School Superintendent to talk about the CVE project and this new pilot arrangement. We're waiting for some feedback back from schools. You might recall, schools and towns have the option to opt out. What that means, though, is that the state is allowing solar projects to be tax-free for the first 15 years. And towns and schools can opt out and say, no, we want the taxes. However, ironically, no matter what they decide to do, we can overrule. So we're not looking to go down that path, but we're looking to inform the town and the school what's going on and seek their feedback. So we have more to come back to you on as far as the situation with CVE solar. We do, though, have a resolution for you today to allow us to continue to advance the project. And that is really the public hearing. So that's all we're asking permission for, is to be able to have a public hearing. And then from the public hearing, we'll come back with our final proposal for board vote.
I'll second it.
Moved by Dan, second by Nick. Ryan?
So question, so is Queensbury or Queensbury School opted out?
Queensbury School opted out a few years ago.
Okay, and so that really, all that does is give them a little different parameters, right? Because they still can get a pilot, it's just, they have to offer it. And they have 60 days to get a pilot from the day it's offered, is that correct?
So
That's the way I understand
So-
it from our attorney, the town attorney.
the top two portions is 45B. The first section is the first part is if they don't request a pilot and the solar company has to request a pilot. Okay. The second part of it is the municipality or school taxing jurisdiction has 60 days to respond yes, no. If they don't respond yes or no, then they automatically get 15 years worth of tax exemption for the project.
Right.
So the second part of it is when they opt out, they're opting out of that first part of 485B. The second is 45B, isn't it?
No, it's like for
47?
7, yeah.
47B, 47B.
Okay, 2 days.
47B is that they're simply saying that they want property taxes on there.
Right,
They don't want to go through the process. So,
but if they've opted out,
yes,
they let them know and they say, yes, we do want a pilot.
and the first part of
Then the
45B.
pilot comes, then they come back and negotiate. the
If you
pilot.
don't opt out,
Right,
that's a correct scenario.
okay,
Okay. The second scenario is of not opting out. They're simply saying that we don't want the automatic. We can do real estate taxes. And what Chuck was saying is that this is the same thing we went through with Fowler Square, is that we operate under general municipal law. They're operating under RPTL or school law. GML says that we have the option as an IDA to provide a pilot. And I don't like terminology overrule. Yes, it is, but we have, because we stand higher in the chain, we can do that. We have made a conscious decision to have discussions with people, see if we can craft something that is in their benefit. And there are some options we're looking at that we haven't explored, that when we're sitting down with the superintendent of Queensbury, is we've introduced those to see what they are, some are educational contributions. Some are doing host benefit packages like we did with CHPE. So those are things we're exploring at this point.
Whatever Queensbury did several years ago, however, I would think doesn't matter anymore. Things have changed so much over there that I think you go back at them again.
The school did indicate they're in favor of solar.
Yeah.
So the administrators are going to talk to the board and add on to what Dave explained. We have options to either do a pilot with annual payments or maybe advancing payments, which might be advantageous to the school. So we give opportunity for the school to think about the situation and get back to us.
Good.
So I think what's interesting on this is that you can only get a pilot up to what the taxes would be. Number one, but the taxes can only be this much because the state set the regulation for how you assess it. So you're between a rock and a hard place. There's no good win, but hopefully we can come to the most desirable win we can get.
And to make it even more interesting, there's not currently a lawsuit out there.
Right, yeah, I know.
And so there's a lot of moving parts here. And trying to-
My gut says the state's gonna be able to come up with the right answer that no one's gonna be able to debate with, but, you know, it seems to be everyone's moving towards the per megawatt charge. And when I looked at the delta of some of these, versus per megawatt versus the real property tax method of improvements, there's a substantial difference. I mean, I'm talking about quite a huge number, especially with some of the larger projects, like the 20 megawatt projects.
But don't they still pay the tax on the land it's on to
Correct.
begin with?
Correct, the base
So
is
like
still
in
the
our
base.
area, it happens to be that it's gonna go from ag to commercial, which is a lot different rate to start with. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts here, and there's, the thing of it is, because the state's so pro solar, it's not gonna work in our favor, whatever they decide either way.
Well, remember the law that says if a local planning board can't approve a planning project, the state come in and say, that's where we're building it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what the law says.
Yeah, there's.
I think that's gonna be subject to lawsuits, but a lawsuit's gonna be several years in the making.
That's at a certain size, isn't it?
Pardon?
A certain size project.
Anything 20 megawatts and above. Not on the smaller ones, not in the communities.
The other reason we're obviously putting a lot of work into this is that there are other solar projects right behind this one in the west. So, more to come.
As John Strauss said, he said he would like to see standardization. All the projects come through, there's one standard for everyone. So, okay, any questions on CBE?
We do have the resolution for the public hearing.
Right, that's, residents is just to set public hearing, it's time wise, they have some time factors that if they're doing things, they have to start closing on their property and getting some work done before winter goes over. So that's why we're sending the public hearing. We're not,
You got the motions, you just need to.
oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Morcon update, they have delayed their project to the first of the year. They're just looking for some better terms, not from us, but from some of their suppliers. Anything else in emerging properties? John?
Emerging projects.
Project.
There are 4. We have the West Mountain Development Partners, which I believe people are aware of. They did say they'll be back to us in November. So we'll be re-engaging them in a couple of weeks. As we also reported, there's a large workforce housing project in Lake George. And we have given them some preliminary numbers, given the numbers they've given us. They're tightening up their numbers and then we'll get back with further update. So that project is advancing and probably coming forth with the application within the next month or 2. We also have New Tech plasma collection business looking to move into the Aldi's building on Quaker Road. We've had a conference call with them. There might be some opportunity for us to assist with them. They're collecting some information, getting back to us and we'll have further discussion. And then as already mentioned, we have the solar projects. So that's it as far as the emerging projects. Any questions?
The Lake George project, is that the one where we saw the place being wrecked?
No, it's not the place with
Not the
the
same
lake.
shape?
It's not the same as the one with the demolition.
I don't want to mention the name, that's why.
Understood. Yeah.
That one's pretty public. That was pretty public.
Yeah, that's why I didn't remember.
You can buy the slides online on Facebook, I think it is.
You can put it up in here.
So, any other questions? Okay. That's about all. Anything else for the good of the idea?
Flying Dutchman, how are they doing?
It's just gonna-
Flying Dutchman, the last I heard, they're still waiting for, that's that marijuana project.
Oh,
down
yeah,
in-
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Cannabis project down in
Yeah.
White Creek. They are still waiting for the state regulations. The state has not issued regulations on growing inside. You can grow in fields, but not.
Well, it's called Flying Dutchman. Yeah. You won't even leave the ground.
If you're gonna, do you want, are you gonna pick a date to schedule the special meeting, or do you gonna do that at a later date?
Well, I'm thinking November 1st.
I'm not available November 1st.
Was
I
one-
just have too many meetings that day.
What's November 1st?
I don't know what day it is. I just
Oh,
know I have
Tuesday.
a bunch of town meetings, a public hearing and everything scheduled that day.
So it's Tuesday.
Because the public hearing will have to be scheduled for Lake George, will have to be in Lake George.
November 2nd.
Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday. We could do it October 31st.
Halloween trick or treat, perfect.
You're in charge of candy.
Watch the candy.
I just didn't know if you wanted to make sure you'd be able to have a quorum, because if
That's
Tim
what I
isn't,
was-
Tim will abstain, Jenny will abstain from your vote. So,
Oh, that's right. For 100.
November
So,
2nd will work for me.
how about everyone else?
What?
November 2nd for special
what?
meeting? Special meeting for the
meeting.
public hearing
I'm fine.
for Fort William Henry?
that's your executive
I'm fine.
committee meeting day.
We have the executive meeting at 9 a.m. that day.
That's Wednesday, yeah. But you can do it afterwards.
Is it permissible to do it in the morning afterwards? Do it right after the executive meeting or do it at night?
I mean, it depends well, you've got to confirm your location too. I don't know where you have it.
Oh, that's right. It's got to be in Lake George. Sorry.
Yeah, but we just need time to get up there. We're not that far away.
We could have the executive meeting there. couldn't we?
Could you do municipal building,
Oh, yeah.
Lake George?
Yeah, you just have to make sure that it's available for that, you know, they don't have a meeting or something, or court, or.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, if we have the executive meeting up there first, hold it there too, and then just go right in, be perfect.
And we'll have to make sure that our meeting has to be live streamed, so we have to make sure we can do that there.
Bless you.
Bless.
I mean, does it work in the morning? I mean, well, Jenny has to abstain anyways, but she has one.
I won't be there, but I'll.
Yeah.
I have no
Abstain,
idea on
so.
county meetings on November 2nd. That's the only one I don't know. Because that could happen with us.
Do we need to be there?
Yeah.
You don't need to be at the hearing, but if you're gonna have a special meeting to approve, then we need to have a quorum.
We'll work it out.
Do you have meetings in the second?
Yes.
So that's a free.
In the morning.
So you won't make the executive meeting either.
Do we shift the executive meeting to the afternoon?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, move everything to the afternoon. If I have to miss an afternoon meeting, I'll just be happy. To be
We do
in
not-
charge.
We do not have anything on Wednesday the 2nd, Brian.
Okay. But move it to the afternoon, would be great. We can include Mr. Leggett that way.
Well, September began,
What's that?
don't plan it around me.
Well, we actually have to because
We need everybody because so many people. have to
we can do a
abstain.
different day. of the week.
That's why we're doing this.
You'll have a hearing what time on the 2nd?
What time works for
If
you?
we're gonna do it, we do it later in the day.
Yeah, right. I'd say after 11 o'clock, I'd be free.
If we're gonna do it 11 o'clock,
8 and
I'd
11
I'd rather do it like at 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock? So we're free.
in Lake George.
If we can work it out, yes.
So you do the public hearing at 4 o'clock, executive meeting prior to that,
Probably.
Probably.
right, so, yeah.
Then do the special meeting afterwards to approve it and go from there.
Are we gonna get home that night?
I mean, our public hearings last so long.
No, Blaze will put you up.
You stay at the. Fort
We can say it for William Henry, it looks like they're putting on.
Rooms,
You can have a meeting there, as long as it's in the, as long as it's in the.
Hey,
Farmer Village.
here we go.
They could give us dinner.
Let's do it for William Henry.
You would probably love to host us.
Yes,
Can we do
They
that?
would.
yes.
It's
public place.
Too, what they're doing.
That won't be conflict,
Why would we conflict?
because we're talking about them and we're voting on it.
Well, as long as they're not in the room and we're talking about them.
They give me the room.
I think
I got no
it's a-
secret.
It's a public meeting.
Yeah.
We'll look into
There
it.
you go.
Okay, so
Alright.
we're targeting November 2nd, about 4 o'clock.
And figure the, venue. You've got to figure the venue because.
Yeah, we'll get it solved.
3 or 3:30 for the other.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you all. Anything else I missed?
I got one question.
That's it.
Ellie? Okay,
I have a question.
yes.
Or a thought process. You and the CEO, with the help of our in-house engineer, work hard over at the canal side. But I asked to be at the meeting, but you said you know, small meetings, but that's the right thing to do. However, I would suggest that you think about when you do things, that you have a meeting over there to talk about what you talk about, what you're doing. It's very difficult for me. I don't know about the other guys. But when you start talking about, well, it's over the tracks there, there's this, blah, 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 blah. I've only been over there twice and I'm lost. So if when you get into what you want to have over there, more things, have a meeting over there and you can buy lunch.
No, you can buy lunch.
I'll buy lunch.
Wait a minute.
If I can learn more, I'll buy the goddamn lunch. Thank you.
It's not a liquid lunch.
I quit that 33 years ago. So that's-
The rest of us haven't.
It's your
Well,
fault.
that's your
Or I
problem.
shouldn't say
Oh,
that.
we are
That's-
still, we're still
digressing.
live because we didn't adjourn, just so you know.
Alright, well, I think,
No,
I think weather-wise, it's gonna be tough to have a meeting over there in the next couple of months, but you're right, seeing is believing.
Wait.
You need to have eyes on it.
understand.
So, right now, we're just trying to get the process in place. Part of what we're putting in place is the fact that we are engineering the methods to get there
Right.
and how we're gonna get there, so really nothing's been firmed up except to say, here's the locations we're thinking about.
We have some good aerial video of the site.
That'd be all right. I mean,
Put it up on the screen here.
And we could probably do a 5-10 minute conversation about the site, where the utilities are
We
located.
can stop it.
Utilities were bringing into the site.
Yeah. That would be good.
Okay, good.
one last thing. Go Yankees.
I do
I
have,
second that.
Here comes the-
Mr. Chairman, I do have some
Yes,
other
Chuck.
updates.
Yes.
Are we good?
I don't know if we're good or not, but please proceed.
Okay, so other updates I have, thank you to Juan and Amy, his wife Amy, I had a tour of companies back on October 11th. And then after that, we went over and toured Adirondack Studio, which was a fascinating tour. And then last week on the 13th, John Davidson and I went to Vermont to go to a Vermont rail system seminar. And we actually met some people that are interested in rail moving through our facility. As far as upcoming activities, we are working on the budget, so we'll have that for you for the next meeting. There is the ARCC Business Expo on the 19th, and I'll be there. We also have the Center of Economic Growth having a manufacturing oriented meeting on October 20th, which I'll be at. And then we have what's being called the Warren Washington Strategic Economic Alliance meeting on the 27th of this month. It will include ARCC, EDC, LDCs, all the local alphabet companies will be getting together to talk about economic activity. I've also been asked to be on the panel of the ARCC Women's Business Council panel. So I'll be staying on the panel on November 8th. And then on November 10th, the IDA is having an academy session in Utica. So those are things that are coming up. So lots of good stuff. That's it.
ARCC, will we have a booth? Will you have a booth?
We will not have a booth. We decided it's better just to be on the floor.
Okay.
That's it for the future unless there are any questions.
Any questions or comments? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for the birthday cake.